This very talented, multi-talented young lady has a debut album on Creative Soul Records, Fairy Tale Life, and it reveals an artist who's not afraid to talk about everyday life. And she too knows that the Lord is in her life, and she wants to sing about it and talk about it as well. And she's a modern day woman, and like the rest of us, busy, juggling life, being a mother, being a wife, and still living in the lives of the Lord's purpose. So I want to welcome to the stage Miss Stephanie Newton, as she's going to be singing and performing for us today and giving us some words of encouragement. Give her a round of applause.
Thank you so much for having me today. And I'm just gonna do kind of just a quick little sound check before we get going, just to make sure we've got everything rolling. So I'm just gonna check a little bit of keyboard. You may need to bring that down just slightly. Let me check that a little bit. Sounds like it needs to come down a little bit. Okay. I have some friends up there in the sound booth helping me out. So if you just want to go ahead and let's get a quick check on number 2.
Spit and polish, rock the baby, get to that next soccer game. Trying to be super mom, but it seems ungrateful to complain. Got everything I ever wanted, but still sometimes I get the blues. Doing all that Cinderella dream in better shoes. Got Prince Charming, got my castle, got my chariot SUV. In this fairy tale life, what you heard is for me. Now I'm not quite a damsel in distress or urgent need, but in this fairy tale life, can I be who you made me to be? House is sparkling, buffet steaming, looks like we'll have quite a crowd. Black dress on and lipstick perfect, Martha Stewart would be proud. Beneath the laughter and the small talk, is anybody lonely too? Do any sleeping beauties here share my point of view? Got Prince Charming, got my castle, got my chariot SUV. In this fairy tale life, what you heard is for me. Now I'm not quite a damsel in distress or urgent need, but in this fairy tale life, can I be who you made me to be? Every dream I ever dreamed somehow has come true, but I believe this princess can do more for you. Oh, got Prince Charming, got my castle, got my chariot SUV in this fairy tale life. Ooh, I'm not quite a damsel in distress or urgent need, but in this fairy tale life. Oh, got Prince Charming, got my castle, got my chariot SUV. In this fairy tale life, what you heard is for me. Now I'm not quite a damsel in distress or urgent need, but in this fairy tale life, can I be who you made me to be?
Well, thank you all so much for having me today. The song I just sang is the title track from my first album called Fairy Tale Life. And I wanted to give you a little bit of information about who I am and kind of the history of how I got started writing songs. I grew up singing in church. I became a Christian when I was 8 years old and have always loved music and played piano as a child and actually got my degree in piano in college. But like a lot of people in college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my degree. I didn't really have a plan beyond college. My husband and I got married and decided we would move to Atlanta because he had a job waiting for him here. And so we did that, and we've been here 20 years now. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary in September. So, but we got to Atlanta, and I came from a small town in Kentucky. I'm from a little town called Paint Lick, Kentucky. So I was a small town girl and always wanted to be in the big city. So I found myself in Atlanta, not knowing anybody and really not having a plan of what to do with my life. But my grandmother, who had passed away shortly before my husband and I got married, had always planted the seed in my mind because I think you'd be great in church music. I think you'd be, wonderful doing church music. And I would always go, oh, church music, I don't want to do that. And so, but when we got to Atlanta, I felt like the Lord was speaking to me and into my life and was calling me into Christian music. And so I said, Lord, I don't know anybody here, and I don't have any connections in this big old city at all, and I don't have any experience really doing anything leading in church music. But if you want me to do this, you will have to open the doors for me. So a few weeks later, I'm looking through the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Those were in the old days when you actually had to look in the want ads, for jobs. And so I'm looking in the newspaper, and lo and behold, there's a small church out in West Cobb County that was looking for a music director. And so I applied for the job, and they hired me. I was very young, had no experience, and they hired me. And it was the beginning of a wonderful journey that God has had me on. And it was about that time when the contemporary worship movement kind of started to really gain some momentum. And so I found myself in a church that was asking me to start a contemporary worship service. And so I felt like I had come home. And so that's what I've been doing ever since. I've been a worship leader for 20 years now, and I serve at Alpharetta Methodist Church, and have loved that. I've done that on a part-time basis for 20 years. But I also had what I called my day job, and that was a job in communications that I loved, and it was a great career. But when I started having babies, I had my first baby in 2002, I thought, I can't keep up doing this full-time job and doing my part-time job at the church. I just can't keep all that up with having a baby. So I cut my day job back to part-time. Well, then lo and behold, baby number 2 was coming along in 2005, and so I thought, okay, now I'm going to have 2 babies, and I have still my part-time job at the church, but I have my part-time job in communications, and I thought something's got to give. So I thought I'm going to give up my job in communications. And that was a huge step for me. That was a huge leap of faith because I loved that job. I loved being out in the work world. I loved having a career. But I felt like God was telling me, I'm asking you to give this up. I have a blessing for you. I have something for you, but I'm asking you on faith to give this up. And I'm a planner. I like to plan things. And so I was like, okay, God, will just let me know what you have on down the line. We'll plan for it. And I felt like God was asking me just in faith to give up this job and just wait on him and see what he had for me. So that was a struggle for me, but I did. I quit that job. My second baby was born in October 2005, and I found myself at home, kind of being a stay-at-home mom and still serving at my church. And it wasn't long before suddenly I started really getting interested in songwriting again. This was a passion that I'd had years before when I was in high school and college, but I hadn't picked it up since then. And I just felt like these songs were pouring forth in my heart, and I didn't really know what to do with them. I was just kind of just wanting to get these things down on paper. And I'd always, dreamed of becoming a recording artist. I grew up listening to people like Amy Grant, and dreamed of becoming like her. But it just didn't seem like that was the path for me. It didn't seem like that was in the cards for me. But suddenly, I found myself wanting to write songs, and I found a producer in Nashville that was very interested in what I had to say, what I had to sing about. And so that started a journey of me writing songs and releasing my first album. And I felt so blessed to do that because, I felt like sometimes when God was getting me on this path, I felt like Abraham and Sarah and wanting to turn to him and say, Lord, I'm too old to do this, you're supposed to start a music career in your teens and early 20s, and and I'm way beyond that, and I have these 2 little babies. But I felt like God was saying that, He had something that He wanted me to do, and that was my purpose. And so that was how the song I just sang was kind of born. It was about how, your life can be so rich and so full of blessing, but God still has a purpose, and He's still calling you to do something. So that's how I kind of got on this journey of songwriting. And so the next song I want to do for you just comes from my heart as a mom. I now have 3 daughters, and their ages 11, 8, and 5. And they asked a lot of questions. And when they were little, could barely talk, they asked questions, and now they're asking more questions. And my 11-year-old, those questions are getting a little bit harder now, more complex for me to answer. But I started thinking, as I try my best to answer their questions, be patient with them, I thought about how, God is so patient with us when we question Him. And he is the God of the universe and all-powerful, but what patience He has with His children when we ask Him things and question Him. And so that's what this song is about. This is called Why Is the Sky Blue? Well, I want to sing for you now. The very first song I wrote from start to finish and took to Nashville with me to meet with this producer to see if I might want to do an album. And I was just so nervous about it and not sure if it was what someone in Nashville would find, worthy of recording. And but it talked about it talks about what I was going through at the time, which I had a toddler and an infant, and some days were just so overwhelming. And I would find that if I could just get 1 minute to breathe, that I could feel God's grace in that moment. And if I could feel God's grace with me in that moment, it would carry me through another minute or another hour or another day. And so this song's called Moments of Grace.
Baby's crying, it's just past 3. I stumble in and she smiles at me. I hold her close and we watch you breathe the dawn. Then it's morning coffee, deadlines, bills, and yet you whisper, peace be still, as you send me these moments of grace. Like a wave washing over me, or quiet as the breath I breathe. In daily trial or deepest need, you are there surrounding me. I see glimpses of your face, I'm wrapped up in your warm embrace, as you send me these moments of grace. Kiss hello at the end of day, a friend who calls and knows what to say. The rest you send me when I need it most. It's in quiet strength when the bad news comes. It's trusting you, the faithful one. You're there in every moment of grace. So laugh and love and live, you're free. Your sin was bought and paid by me, all in one sweet moment of grace. Like a wave washing over me, or quiet as the breath I breathe. In daily trial or deepest need, you are there surrounding me. I see glimpses of your face, I'm wrapped up in your warm embrace, as you send me these moments of grace. Ooh, I'm living in your moments of grace.
Thank you. You all have been such a wonderful audience today. You've been listening and hopefully taking it all in. But I thought maybe you might want to sing together a little bit as this is our closing session and just have just a moment of gratitude for the grace that we have because of Jesus and what he did for us on the cross. And I bet you know this one. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear. And grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, his mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. The Lord has promised good to me. The Lord has promised good to me. His word my hope secures. He will my shield and portion be. As long as life endures. My chains are gone. My chains are gone. I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, his mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. The earth shall soon dissolve like snow. The sun forbear to shine, but God who called me here below will be forever mine. Will be forever mine. You are forever mine. I just want to share a couple more songs with you, and thank you again for having me. You know, we're all busy as women, and we're unstoppable in many ways. We're unstoppable because through faith, nothing can get us down, but we're also unstoppable because we never stop. We never stop moving. At least that's the way it is in my house, and it sounds like that's the way it is in yours too. And so I'm getting ready to come out with my second album, actually, and it'll be out, I hope, in January or February. And so I have my album Fairy Tale Life out for sale on the table, but my new album will be coming out in January. And so if you'd like information on how to purchase that when it comes out, you can go to my website, which is stephanienewton.com, or you can follow me on Facebook, which is Stephanie Newton Music. And I would love to connect with some of you all on Facebook and be able to get to know some of you a little better. But I was thinking about coming to a day like this and how wonderful it is when women can come out and just sit and listen and not do, because we do things all the time. We're constantly doing for our jobs and doing for our families, and it's nice that when we can just kind of sit and take things in. And I think about, believe it or not, I think about, guess what, the scripture Zephaniah 3:17, which Becky shared, which is one of my favorite scriptures also. And she spoke about it earlier so eloquently, and it says, "The Lord your God is with you. He is mighty to save. He takes great delight in you. He rejoices over you with singing, and he covers you with his love." And like Becky, it just captures my imagination to think of God singing over me. And that whole passage about quieting us and covering us with his love and singing over us reminds me of a mother holding a baby in her arms and singing a lullaby. And I don't often think about just sitting and feeling loved by God and being his child. I mean, I'm a doer, and I want to get out there and just like, Lord, what can I do for you today? And you just tell me what to do, and we'll get to doing it. But I don't often just sit and just let him love on me and crawl up in his lap and let him sing me a lullaby. And so I got to thinking about, if God sang us a lullaby, what would it sound like? And what would it say? And so I started thinking about the promises in the Bible and how God loves us, and his whole story from Genesis to Revelations has been a rescue mission and him drawing his people back to him. And so that's what I thought a lullaby from God would sound like. And this will be coming out on my album in January. This is called Child of Mine.
The day is over. Rest in my peace. I am singing over you. Let all your striving cease. Know that I delight in you, and know I hear your cry. My mighty hand is holding you, oh child of mine.
more song for you as we close out this day, and I want you to leave here feeling that you've been wrapped in the love of Jesus and that you spent some time in his arms. And he is preparing a place for us. And I recently read a book by a theologian named N.T. Wright, and it's called Simply Christian, and it's just wonderful. N.T. Wright is an English theologian. He's kind of like a modern day C.S. Lewis, and his writing is beautiful. And he talks about how sometimes maybe we don't understand the height and the depth and the breadth of eternity and what it will be like, and we think of just maybe being taken up on a cloud somewhere, but heaven and being in resurrection with Jesus is going to be more than we can ever imagine, and it won't be just a doing away with this world. It'll be the culmination of the redemption of the earth that God was always bringing about from Genesis to Revelation. And I read somewhere else that heaven will be the unveiling of the great web that he was weaving among all of us. And that idea just resonated within me, and how God is just weaving this beautiful web or a beautiful tapestry, and that when we get on the other side of eternity, we will see what he was doing. And all of our lives that we thought it was all so separate, it will just all be connected, and he will redeem every pain, every injustice, every tear, and that's what heaven's going to be like. And so I want you to leave with that thought today, and this is called The Web He's Weaving.
His faithful promises from the Genesis, every pain and injustice through time, he will redeem it, rescue, reclaim it, and the world will be set to rise. The web he's weaving, the great deceiving, will come to an end. Infinite tapestry, one day we all will be with him again. And all our believing, all our conceiving, one day earth and heaven will all be connected by the web he is weaving. And all of creation, seeking redemption, longing and groaning since the world began. The resurrection, the affirmation, the beginning of the master plan. The web he's weaving, the great deceiving, will come to an end. Intricate tapestry, one day we all will be with him again. And all our believing, all our conceiving, one day earth and heaven will all be connected by the web he is weaving. And in the meantime, this in-between time, we will practice in the present, songs we'll sing in his presence, 'cause we are the web he's weaving, the great deceiving will come to an end. Intricate tapestry, one day we